Okay, welcome back to another American Life reading vlog. Look who I'm with.
Howdy! Jade Legacy's mid.
Yeah, get out. I'm with Jimmy Nuts.
Yeah.
So we both happen to live near enough to each other in the States that I said, you want to hang out? And he obliged.
I did. And she paid for dinner, so it was great. It was fantastic.
He's being too kind. I did not. But yeah, it's so great to finally meet someone else from BookTube. This is my second ever actual in-person.
And you didn't wear a nerd shirt. Like, I wore a Game of Choke shirt, like trying to be nerdy.
Well, you know what?
She came dressed very nicely.
Look at my earrings.
Oh, never mind.
Calcifer. Yeah, so
Never
does
mind.
that count?
Yeah, it's pretty basic. Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty excellent.
Yeah. So we're just gonna grab a drink and hang out for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think.
It's very rainy.
Yeah. See, this is one of those things where when we talk to each other through the screen, we have things to say. But now that we're talking to the same camera, I feel like we're both like,
Well, it's a camera.
well, now what?
It changes everything. We've been wonderfully conversating for 3 hours.
Yeah. And now we have nothing
No.
else to say. All right, well, we're gonna go enjoy. And I just wanted to catch this momentous moment on camera.
Very important.
Yes, it is. And those of you who watch my vlogs probably know that we're thinking of moving back to the States at some point soon, and so you might see more.
More
in
collabs.
the future.
Chatting with Nuts in person.
That'd be real
Perhaps.
fun. Yes.
I would love that.
Yes, consider it done for here. So, all right, guys. The rest of the vlog will come later. Bye. So hi, you guys saw in the very first clip there that I met Jimmy from the Fantasy Network a couple days ago. We got some drinks, we hung out, and even though we look like, okay, my camera tripod just went down. Let's put that back up there, shall we? So even though we kind of look like we were feeling awkward in the moment in filming, it wasn't that way at all. We were just interacting off of camera. We got along really well. And it's one of the things I can kind of look forward to when Hayato and I end up moving here in the next couple years. So I am looking forward to kind of getting to know him better once we move back this way. We had a great time hanging out. I had talked to him quite a few times before through the screen. He's been on Page Chewing. I've been on Chatting with Nuts. We've done some Greenbone Saga discussions with Philip Chase and Bookborn. So we've talked quite a few times on through a screen before. It was just so surreal to finally meet someone that I usually talk to through the internet in person. But we had a great time, and I look forward to fostering like a real world offline friendship with him in the future. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and talk about what I've been reading. I meant to start filming this vlog right after finishing my last vlog, but you know, vacation, life with family. I just kind of didn't want to take out the camera and film a lot of the stuff that I had been doing, so I didn't. But we're gonna start now, you know, never too late. It is the 29th of March, I believe, and in between finishing the last vlog and starting this one, I have finished one book and I am at least 25% into 2 other ones. So the one that I finished is Winnie the Pooh. I will, you know, talk about this, of course, in my wrap-up, but this was the Patreon pick by my patrons for March, and I'm so thankful that they had me finally read this book. I have seen The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh so many times, like the original Disney VHS. I watched that endlessly as a kid. Like, I think I could quote the whole thing. And so because I have such formative memories of stories of Winnie the Pooh, I think I had convinced myself that I'd also read the book, which I hadn't. And I am happy to report that it did not disappoint. I enjoyed this immensely. Full 5 stars, definitely up there with one of my favorite childhood books. It has the perfect mix of wit and whimsy and just nonsense, but like the good type of nonsense, you know what I'm saying? One of my favorite things about the whole thing is how random words will be capitalized to kind of give them more importance than it would have otherwise. I'm trying to find an example, and of course, as soon as I open the book to find an example, there's none on these pages. Oh yeah, so just here on this page, Pooh and Piglet are looking for woozles. And they're following these tracks that they believe to be the tracks of a woozle. And it says, here, would you mind coming with me, Piglet, in case they turn out to be hostile animals? And hostile animals, if it'll focus, where'd it go? Hostile animals is capitalized. And something about that technique made it cuter. It was just used so perfectly in this book. I don't know, that particular writing technique just gave me a lot of joy. So this was definitely 5 stars. It took me a couple days to read it because I was savoring it. I mean, it's tiny. You could definitely read it in one sitting if you wanted to, but just being busy with, you know, seeing friends and being with family, it took me a couple days, but I treasured every moment. And I can see myself developing a small collection of different versions of this book just to have, because every time I opened this and was like within the pages, it just felt like a warm hug, like I was wrapped in a warm blanket. And I also love the original art. I have some prints of this art in Sumire's nursery. I've just always enjoyed the way it's written as well. How it's written to kind of match the vibe of the story sometimes. I don't know, everything about this was wonderful, and I can see myself rereading this over and over and over again, and I will definitely be reading it with Sumire when she's old enough. Then the other book I started is, let me pull it up on my Kindle to show you guys. The next Spiffbo read is The Wickwire Watch. Now, in my last vlog, I mentioned that I had to DNF Hills of Heather and Bone, which had been my Spiffbo read for, you know, most of February. And the themes in that were too triggering for me to continue. So that means that I switched tracks and am now reading The Wickwire Watch. I have to finish this by the 31st, so in the next 2 days, in order to join the other judges in putting my review out there. But I actually don't think it's going to be much of a problem because I am loving this. Again, I try not to talk about these too much until the official review comes out because I don't like to sway the way that people feel about it, but you know, this is not, my thoughts right now are not indicative of what the results may be in the competition or even what my final review may be. But so far, I'm about 25% into it and I am loving it. I'm blowing through it. It's so easy to read and addictive, and it's very different. It doesn't feel like anything else I've ever read before, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. So I have this with me today because we are going to the zoo, hopefully. It's one of those things where you hit the kind of last couple weeks of your vacation and you realize how little time that actually is. And we've been wanting to take Sumire to the zoo for a long time. So I think we're gonna head to the zoo today because the other couple days that we have free before we head up to upstate New York, which is where some of my family is from, before we head up that way, we wanted to take her to the zoo, but the other days available before that look like they're going to be rainy, and that is not what you want for a zoo day. So maybe I'll get a couple shots of the zoo while we're out, but I will have this with me just in case. You never know when you may have some time to read. So hopefully I'll make a little bit more progress in this while we're out, but definitely tonight after putting Sumire to bed, I plan to put a huge dent in this because not only am I enjoying it, I'm determined to finish it in time for my review to go out with all the other Spiffbo judges. The other book that I am, I think 25% of the way through is the audio of the last Tale of the Flower Bride. Yes, I'm reading that for my The Only Good book club, the private book club that I do, and the prose is beautiful. I'm adoring it so far. If you were to ask me what it's really about, I think I'm just kind of starting to figure out what it's really about, which is the relationship between these two childhood best friends. But up until this point, it's kind of focused on the relationship of the main female character and main male character from their two different perspectives. Well, only his perspective thus far, but we just got a different one. So I think I'm finally actually starting to understand what the book is about just around now. But the audiobook is beautiful, and whenever I go outside and garden, I listen to it. So like I said, I'm about 25% of the way through at the moment, but I think it's gonna be one of those that I can blow through if I just like get into the groove of doing some kind of manual labor and put that on while I do it. I think it'll be really easy to finish it quickly. I think that's everything that I have going currently. No, still reading the Kaiju Preservation Society. That's on my phone. Again, for the Only Good book club, because even though we've already met and talked about the book, everyone there really wanted me to finish it because I didn't finish it on time, because they wanted to hear my thoughts after finishing it, and I haven't finished that yet. So I am still working on that one, although it's very much in the background of these other reads right now. So I'm gonna go get ready for the zoo, and you might get some B-roll clips coming up, or maybe a reading update. I also need to talk about my tattoo, the healing process, because I think that's where I finished the first vlog. Yeah, was getting this, the second session of this. So I do need to sit down and talk about this when I have a little bit more time. It's still healing, so I might wait until it's healed and then talk about it. But yeah, I'll check back in with you guys soon with any of those options I just mentioned. 네. 야메떼. We're just holding on to our lead. It's our last day here. It's a bit overcast at the moment. The sun was out earlier, but I missed my chance. But I thought I would just share what the spring backyard is looking like. Spring is my favorite season here. All the plants come out to play. All the flowers. And there's been tons of wild violets this year. The front yard is littered with them. You can see a whole bunch by the statue back there as well. Might not be that significant, but I choose to believe it is. And unfortunately, our staghorn fern did not like its location. There's a little shoot of green, or there was before in the back there. I don't know if there still is. I can't see from this angle. But otherwise, it didn't seem to like its new spot. But it seems like the tree's all right with taking it over, so we'll see what ends up surviving and what doesn't. And this is a Japanese bell that we got my parents. When the wind is strong enough, this chimes. It's a beautiful tinkle to it. I also cleared out this entire garden for my parents last week. We haven't put fresh mulch down yet. I wanted to. Some more violets. But just didn't get around to it, but at least it's cleared for them. I was listening to The Last Tale of the Flower Bride when I was out here doing this. And I started turning this into a fairy garden. I did not get as far as I wanted to, but you can see I got a couple little things for it. I have a vision though. I have a vision, and I plan to continue when I come back. I haven't checked in with you guys because the last couple weeks here have just been wild. And I just haven't had the spoons to be able to sit down and check in. But I am 50%, 57% of the way through Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, and I'm going to try to finish it today because I want to read from the hardcover. So I'll at least sit down and tell you thoughts about that. There was a bumblebee here earlier, but I think I missed him. I think he's done with this patch. Anyway, I will check back in with you guys before we're on the plane, at least, and let you guys know where I am in the reading journey. And then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming in Japan. Of course, as soon as I stopped recording, we got some sun shining through. I love how it dapples back here. Hello! So I am back in Japan. I think I got some B-roll, of me coming back into the country. So we've been back for about a week, and I haven't had time to sit down and really get back to filming until today. We spent this last week redoing the house, essentially like rearranging everything because Sumire grew up so much in the month and a half that we were in the States, to the point where like we came back here and we realized that this house setup was not serving us anymore. She is way too active, can go places way too quickly. And it just, yeah, it wasn't serving us as a family anymore. So we decided to rearrange pretty much everything. Hayato's off of work for another week and a half. Well, 1 week at this point, I think. Yeah. And then his paternity leave is over and he goes back. So we're really trying to take advantage of the time while he's home. So I haven't really sat down to read too much, but I did have sprints with my patrons, with my patrons yesterday, I think. And let me get my Kindle real quick. I read, I think it was overall 5% more on my Kindle. So I'm reading Yumi on here now, and I am at 81%. So there was, oh, there we go. So there was a period in the middle where it kind of dipped for me a little bit, but I'm once again very interested and excited to see what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna finish Yumi in the next couple days, I think. Tonight I have to do editing, like I just have to, because I haven't sat down to edit in way too long, and you guys need, I have footage, okay? I have a really good vlog that I have footage for. I have a book haul that I filmed before I went to the States, but it's still really good footage of all like the special editions and stuff that I have that I wanted to edit while I was over there and just never got to it. So I've got really good stuff for you guys. I just need to edit it. So I need to be doing that tonight. But hopefully I can finish reading in the next day or two this weekend. But the other reason that I wanted to check in with you guys is because I have 2 beautiful broken binding packages that were waiting for me. Now, one of these, I'm sure, is the last book in the, oh, I always forget the name, the Hanged God trilogy. And these books, every time I open them, I get more excited to read the series because Broken Binding did so good with these. The art is stunning. So I know that it's the last in the trilogy is one of these. And then the other one, I think, is The Fall, which I am just vibrating with excitement about because I read of Blood and Fire and it was good, but The Fall is the one that I always talk about that really sold me on the series of The Bound and the Broken, which I still haven't continued with, but we're not gonna talk about that right now. Still really high on my priority for finishing series. I just haven't finished any series, so love that for me. But The Fall is incredible and the art was absolutely stunning, so I can't wait to see this physically if that's what the other book is. If it's not, then I'm really not sure what it is, because the next series from the subscription is The Lies of Lockamora, which I'm also ecstatic about, but I don't think those have shipped yet, so pretty sure that those are the 2 books that we're dealing with. Now let's see, this one feels, the one here feels lighter, so it's probably The Fall, so let's do this one first. This is not the best setup for an unboxing, is it? That's a little bit better. No, this is The Fall. Oh, okay, should I do this one first? Let's do this one first. Let's do the exciting one first. Well, they're both exciting, but... Okay. Here's the slip case. Okay. Gorgeous. Oh, wait, no. Oh, now. Oh, okay. Wait. That's what happened. Got it. Okay, so I think this is the Blood and Fire slipcase because they retroactively made a slipcase for the first book. That's what this is, because I was like, this looks big. So this is the Blood and Fire one, and on the spine it says, "The sun will set and rise again, and it will do so the next day and the next. The gods are in charge of such things, but it is by our own will that we pick ourselves up when we fall." This is so pretty. Oh, I can't wait to put a Blood and Fire in this. I have that in my bedroom, so I'm gonna do that right after this. So that's the slip case. And then here we have the fall. One of my favorite novellas I've ever read. Some more coasters. So here it is. I have been waiting for this book for so long. I've been waiting for so long. Yeah, it's one of Mama's favorites. Whoop. Here's the slip case. Around to the back. And then here's the spine of the fall. It's very shiny, hard to see. Woo! Look at that art. This is the art that sold me. And I've been waiting for it to see it in person ever since. And then the gilding goes around to the back. And then here we have the cloth-bound naked hardback. And then this is one of the end papers that I saw. Even before seeing the cover, I think. No, this was after the cover. This is after the cover. But I got even more excited to own it after seeing this because this is just gorgeous. Matches the vibes of it so perfectly. And the back end pages here. And it looks like the inside is similar to their edition of A Blood and Fire, where it's signed and numbered. And it has the same style, yeah, the same style, what's the word I'm looking for, like headings in the book. There's a ribbon bookmark, which is nice. And yeah, so we've got chapter headings like this, just like the first one. And the edges are silver gilded. I just have such a soft spot for thin little books like this, and they just feel so good in your hands. And I can't get over how stunning this is. I've been waiting so long for this. Ah! I'm gonna put it back in its slipcase home. And I will put A Blood and Fire in its slipcase and then show you guys later. But for now, let's open the other box. Okay, so let's see if I'm right that this is the third book in the Hanged God series. I am 99.9% sure that's what it is, because I don't think I have any other outstanding orders from the broken binding, because I decided that I'm going to Glasgow, and after that I was like, your girl needs to start saving a little bit of money. So I've really slowed down on my orders from TBB. We'll see how long that lasts. It's lasted for a little while thus far. Yes, okay, so it is the third book in the Hanged God trilogy. I guess this is called Northern Wrath. No, Northern Wrath is the first one. Shackled Fates is the second, the one that I loved with the polar bear on the front. And then this last one is Slaughtered Gods, which sounds bloody and awesome. The back of the bookmark for this book says, "It's time the 9 worlds got their way. Let the shackles fall and let the darkness consume us, as it was always meant to do." Sounds gritty and dark. This is the packaging as always, looking so pretty. Okay, so if we look at this cover art, it looks like there's a giant wolf like eating people in the background, which is very Norse coded for sure. Well, it's not even coded. This is about Norse gods, so that seems very much on point. And then the back has a quote that says, "When Odin advances to battle, the skies darken and demons cackle. That night all shall end. Gods, giants, even you, my friend." I'm telling you, the Broken Binding nailed this so much. Every single one makes me want to read it more. It is signed, and there's a little doodle on it too. I love that. Signed and numbered as always. Here is the naked hardback. Wrap around to the back here. Then here is the last section of the sprayed edges. These are going to look stunning when put together. And then, oh, yes, I was right. It's a giant wolf. Oh my god, this art is so cool. Here's the first set of end pages. Ooh. And, oh, there are the polar bears again. Yes, or the polar bear. Here's the back set of end pages. it just gets better and better. I think this is really gonna jump to the top of my series, like new series to start, once I close out some of the ones I've already started. Well, I would say that the broken binding has outdone themselves. This is some absolutely stunning book mail, and I can't wait to display these on my shelves. Now, I am facing a bit of a crisis where the bottom two shelves of my bookshelf have had to be converted to toy areas for Sumire because it's very much in the middle of the living room and you can't really expect her to stay away from the bookshelf considering how much of like a main focus point it is of this room. And you know, it's pretty, it's got lights on it, she wants to touch it. Before I had like plexiglass on there with command hooks that were holding it on, and it worked really well, but now she's taller and stronger and she just like rips them off. So I took the books out of the bottom two shelves and turned them into her toy center, and it's working out well for us. She doesn't really care about my books from the next shelf up, the top three shelves, which was the goal, but that means that I don't have a home now for a fair amount of my books. So I am now, anyone who, you know, who owns a living space knows that once you decide to change one thing, there's a domino effect. So, oh, if I want to do this, I want to do that, or if I do that, then I have to do this. And so there was a domino effect where now I have to like redo our room to find room for these beautiful books because they deserve a safe place to be shown off. So the background of my videos may be changing because I have to shift around what books go where now. But that'll probably be either later in this vlog or maybe I'll do a dedicated reorganization video. I'm not sure. But for now, I'm just so incredibly happy with this book mail. Like, we already know I'm a broken binding, you know, fangirl. So this is not news to anyone, but it was beautiful book mail to come home to. And I'm just going to enjoy looking at these for a little while. I will check back in with you guys once I have read something or there's something interesting happening in the Japan kind of sphere.
Hey guys, so we frequent this small sort of kaiten sushi. Conveyor belt sushi. Truly, I forget it every time. Conveyor belt sushi restaurant called Hamazushi. And typically you just order from this tablet, but we decided to turn the camera on because they've got something new. So it just scrolls by and you click what you want and you can order it that way. So I can scroll like this or just wait for what I want to come by. What do we want?
しめ鯖か押し寿司
どこ？
ないのそこないの
中トロ？中トロだった？入った。
中トロそれ
This is fatty tuna, which I love. And then we'll just keep it on because the speed with which it has been arriving today is wild. Usually we come in off hours because we don't like to wait, but that means that they're not at the top of their game when we come usually. So the rice has been warm, the orders have been quick. It's a whole different world when you come at peak festivals. Already here, wild.
We're on a date night tonight. Sumire's grandma's taking care of her, so we're at our first stop. I think we're gonna go to more than one place tonight, but we've always wanted to try this place. This is gomasaba, sesame sauce mackerel. It took me a minute to remember my English, but it looks real good. I just saw. So we polished that off real quick. We're waiting for our other things to be ordered, and we got some nihonshu to share. So I already poured his. My turn. Arigato. Kanpai. The next on the menu is large asparagus with bacon and butter and a little bit of Japanese mayo to dip it in. So next we have deep fried satoimo, which it's a type of potato. I can't keep the types of potatoes straight in this country, so it's some type of potato. Editing Taylor, if you can figure it out, put it on the screen.
This is one of the ones I'm most excited for. Actually, it might be the last one coming. So the one I'm most excited for, I suppose. It is mushroom and apple tofu sauce is not right. Tofu mix. Shirae. So basically, tofu is the base, and then you put different ingredients in the tofu. So this is not what we were expecting to see when it came out. But usually, shirae is very good with a sweet element in it. And I think it might be my first time having apple. So I'm very excited to try
for
this.
me, the first time having not sweet food and sweet food together. In general, it's just apple or grape, something like that, or
Right.
just mushroom or just green veggies. But
It has both together.
interesting.
味見しようか。
そんな曲を用意しましたミッキーマウスマーチください
So after the concert, right outside, there is a international festival with some food. So we're gonna get some food and enjoy time with our friends.
Hello, wonderful people. So it's been a little bit since I've checked in for this vlog. This vlog is going to be so chaotic, like half in the States and then half me trying to get my life together back in Japan on the other end. But I had said that I wanted to do a reading check-in next, and I definitely will. But I also want to do a check-in to talk about what we're doing at the house, and also to open a couple other books. Now, I know that I already did a little haul when I came back, so I guess there's gonna be a couple little mini hauls here. One of them is, of course, the Broken Binding, as always, but I'm very excited to open this one because this is the subscription box for April, and it is Lies of Locke Lamora, which is one of my favorite series of all time. I am so excited that we are getting this as part of the sub, so I'm going to open that. Then I also got a package from my dear friend PL, which I believe is the 4th book in his series, Lion's Pride, and I can't wait to open both of them. So I'm going to open both of those. But what we're doing at the house right now is we have been changing everything around since we came back. I think I mentioned earlier in this vlog, to match Sumide better. Because when we came back and looked around, we realized this house wasn't serving us as a family the way it was organized. There was just too much dangerous stuff for her. Nothing was in a convenient place. And back when we had a karaage, a fried chicken restaurant that we opened, we had to get a second fridge because we were doing food prep and there was just not enough room in a normal size fridge. So we actually had 2 fridges. And one day we just kind of realized, like, why do we still have 2 fridges? We don't need both. So we're getting rid of the smaller one and moving the bigger one into where the smaller one was. And then we were going to buy a shelving unit, but the height of the area where we want to put the shelf is not like a standard height for a lot of furniture here. So we're going to build a shelving unit. We've done a bunch of DIY stuff, so pretty confident we can get it exactly the way we want to. It's just gonna take a little bit extra time. So tomorrow we're gonna go shopping for all of those supplies. And then we're also gonna move my bookshelves from where they are, like on the wall, I can see them right here. We're gonna move them to the far wall where the old fridge used to be, where the big fridge used to be. So the whole thing is gonna be shifted around. And it's one of those things where like everything looks worse before it gets better. Like what I'm looking at right now looks like a tornado went through my house. And this is like the 3rd time this has happened because we're shifting basically everything in the house little by little. So we're working on that. All right. So I'll be sure to get some clips of the progress, at least of the shelving and of the empty bookshelves before they get moved and all of that. I'm just very excited for this space to serve us. And Hayato goes back to work in 2 days. So we're trying to get this done before he goes back to work. Wish us luck. But let's go ahead and open a couple of packages, like I said. So this is the first one. I believe this is from PL, and I'm so excited. Oh, yes, it is. It is exactly what I thought. She's looking all pretty and blue, arrived without much damage at all. A Lion's Pride, the 4th book in the Drowned Kingdom saga. And the thing that makes me even more excited to be holding this in my hand is that I've been so lucky, so blessed to be able to put a blurb on the back cover. So this is me. It says, a main POV character developed so in depth that you can't help but hate, love, respect, and scorn him in equal measure. And I stand by that so fully. And I'm so happy to be on the back with some of these other names blurbing this book. It's the first time I've ever been anywhere on a book. I'm gonna tear up. I'm so happy. Thank you, PL, for giving me the honor and the opportunity to do so. I'm just so thankful. I read an ebook arc of this, so I don't have my tabs in it like I usually do. So I'm gonna have to go through my arc and look at all of my comments and tab this up, because I think the entire series is tabbed so far and I wanna continue that trend. So I'm gonna have to find time to do that. Okay, now let's get to the broken binding. As always, I've also got myself a little treat yourself whiskey here. So did a lot today, and we're gonna be doing a lot tomorrow, so. The Lies of Locke Lamora. I never thought that I would be holding a new version of this, which really makes me think that the Broken Binding knows something. Matt over there, you know something that we don't know. And we may be getting the Thorn of Emerlane somewhat, sort of soon. And if that's the case, I'm gonna lose my fucking shit. I love this series. I haven't talked about this series so much on my channel recently because I read it a long time ago and it's been a favorite of mine forever. So you know how you have like those staple favorites and then you just don't talk about them because you haven't read them in a long time? Adore this series. Our bookmark here says, "There is no freedom quite like the freedom of being constantly underestimated." All right, so this is paying homage to the paperback cover. Beautiful, matches the vibes so perfectly. Then we have our sprayed edges, digitally sprayed. Of course, signed by Scott Lynch, as they all are signed. The Lies of Locke Lamora. There's the spine. And the back. A very pivotal scene for the end papers here. The other end papers. I love this so much. This is so cool. Like I said, I never thought that I would get a new edition of this from a subscription box, which really makes me think Matt knows something we don't know. I hope that's the case. This is begging for a reread, especially getting this beautiful new edition. I might keep this one pristine and read from one of my other copies. I say one of my other main set. I do now have 3 versions of this book because before Broken Binding announced this was going to be a subscription book, I bought the Gallant's edition, the special edition, which again, more than one edition of this coming out. People know things in the Whisper, world that the rest of us don't. I really think so. But I bought that edition. And then I heard Broken Binding was doing one. I was like, well, I don't have to buy all of the editions of that then, but I still have that pretty version. But I learned that Gallant's special editions don't hold up well to being read. And I learned that actually with the series because I had like the mini special edition set and I read those and they're kind of beat up from that. So because they're already beat up, those are the copies I'm probably going to reread. But I have this beautiful pristine edition to be putting on my shelves. Now I promise I still read, not just open books. No, it doesn't look like that at all in this vlog. I have finished a couple books. What have I finished? I finished Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. I just haven't sat down to talk to you guys about it. And I also finished, what was it? A Dowry of Blood. I finished that audiobook. I loved both of those books. Yumi was like a 4.5, probably a 4-star. And A Dowry of Blood was 5. I adored it. I haven't written a review for Yumi yet, but just some thoughts. I wish that I could have finished it in the special hardback, the actual beautiful Secret Project edition that I had, because I do think that it really affected my reading experience to be able to kind of take it in that beautiful format. Unfortunately, I just couldn't finish it in time, so I finished it via ebook when I came back here. But I did, of course, peek ahead at all of the art and everything, so I wouldn't miss out on that. Yumi was heavily influenced by anime and manga, and you can definitely see that in the way that the story is told. Sanderson also mentioned Kimi no Nawa, which is a Japanese animated movie that really inspired the way that he was playing with timelines and different worlds. And I can definitely see those connections. I think it was a really good homage to it. There was a part in the middle of the book where my interest dipped a little bit, but it was never to the point like that I wasn't enjoying myself, if that makes sense. I just wasn't feeling the urge to pick it up as urgently as I was in between those moments. But I thoroughly enjoyed my time all the way through. The characters were very lovable, and I really liked how Sanderson talked about the concept of forgiveness in that book. How sometimes there is no good explanation or excuse for something you've done, but you can find forgiveness and understanding in those that love you. I just thought it was a very nuanced and detailed exploration of that idea in the book. I also typically don't like Sanderson and romance. It's just not, it does not usually work for me. But I thought that this time around it was very sweet. I think he did a good job including that in the story. It's not something that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat. It's not something that you wonder what's going to happen between the two of them, but it is very sweet and a comforting little romance plot in there. So I thought that that was well done too. As usual for me with Sanderson, though, the world building is where he shone so much. I loved the development of these two worlds and how they connect to each other. I was fascinated by the explanation for why everything was the way that it was. Most of those explanations had a really good payoff for me, and we're far enough in the Cosmere that we get Cosmere connections too, which was just delightful as well. But one of the reveals, one of the solutions was kind of lackluster for me personally, and so that's kind of where I take off a star. That and the dip in the middle there. By no means did they destroy the book for me or anything like that, but it did keep it from being a 5-star. Also, something else that I loved, this is very all over the place, but I haven't, like I said, written down my thoughts about it yet. Something else that I really loved was Sanderson's exploration of art. What is art? How does it have meaning? How does it interact with the human condition, the human spirit to create art? And why is it something that we feel compelled to do in whatever form that we feel compelled to do it? I really loved his exploration of that there, and I couldn't help but see that in connection to how AI is really invading the reading space right now, or the art space right now. I thought whether Sanderson meant it as a connection to that or not, the timing of me reading it really connected to that particular worry that I have right now, and I found his understanding of why humanity is so intrinsically important to art and its beauty. I found that comforting to know that there's a kindred spirit out there that gets it. And I know he's not the only one, but it felt really good to see it written down and be like, I am not alone in thinking these thoughts. So I think that was probably my favorite part of the whole thing, and that kind of came in tandem with me also enjoying Sanderson's prose at points, which is not something that I typically would say as someone who's a big Sanderson fan. I don't usually comment on his prose, but there were a couple lines in this book that I thought were just beautifully crafted, and I reread them a couple times. One of them is the quote on the back of the book, which is escaping me. Like, I don't want to say paraphrase it, because the whole point is that it's written the way that it's written. That's why it's beautiful. So I'll put it up on the screen here. But that particular quote also really stuck out to me. And I thought there were a couple points where I was like, oh, okay, Brando Sando, okay, I see you. I still haven't read The Sunlit Man though, so I can't rank all of the secret projects. But so far, I think we're looking at Tress, Yumi, and Wizards. Although I didn't hate Wizards the way that a lot of other people really seem to hate it, I still had a really good time with that. I think I gave that 4 stars too. It's a different type of 4 stars from Yumi, but still 4 stars. So anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then we had A Dowry of Blood. I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook is lush and beautiful and matches it so well. But I mean, wow, what a exploration of dark obsession, and how it can come with such beauty and love, and also comes in tandem with horrors, just horrors that are hard to explain, toxicity that's hard to put a finger on. It's a little bit different, but the closest I can explain, or the book that gave me the closest feeling that A Dowry of Blood gave me, was My Dark Vanessa, which is a very different type of story, but both of them explore the dark sides of obsession and unhealthy relationships, and how the people in them can get merit from it at the time, and how hard it is to leave and break the cycle. But A Dowry of Blood explores that through the wives of Dracula. We follow the point of view of his first wife as he turns her and, you know, starts their life together, their very long life together. And over the course of the book, other people join this situation. And the writing does kind of feel purple prosy at points, but in my personal opinion, that type of writing matches this story so well. It is lush, it is elegant, it's over the top, and so are these characters, and so is this world. It's quite short, so I don't want to give anything else away besides that, but it is so addictive, and I had a really hard time stopping the audiobook. I definitely want a copy of this for my collection, but not the new trad version. I want the original indie version. I love this cover so much more. So I'm going to see if I can get my hands on it. It might be going for premium now. I don't really know. I haven't searched yet, but that's definitely my goal because I would love to read this physically in the future. I feel like it would be a whole different side to the experience. But this check-in has gone on way too long, so let me stop talking. And I will be sure to include, like I said, updates as to how things are going with the renovations, which hopefully we will finish in the next couple days. Okay, so my time-lapse cut off because my phone died. So this is the end result of what my books look like right now. I'm not sure they're gonna stay this way. I might rearrange them, but so far I'm pretty happy. Down there are all Sumide's toys. But I also can't put things here like I used to because Sumide will grab them. Besides these lanterns, these are light, so they won't hurt her if they fall. But a lot of my other little doodads have to be moved up or shifted around. So I used to have all of my little Totoro figurines in one set, but I've decided to kind of hide them among my books, along with my Ojizo-san. So it's kind of a fun game, I think, to try to find all of the little Totoros. These are a bit more obvious, and I have some Makuro Kurosuke, some sprites hidden as well. I still have a few left to hide. Here they are. I think there's one more as well, along with some little acorns. So I'm not completely done, but I like this idea of them like hiding amongst everything. So in my next videos, you can look for them, or here, I guess you can, and see if you can find them all. Let's see, Editing Taylor can put how many there are. And I don't know, I'm just having a lot of fun with this new style. But I'm pretty happy with how they look thus far. That is still a mess. One day it's going to look nice. The cords, we got to find something else to do with those. But it's a work in progress, and we're getting there. And tonight I have a page doing episode, so I wanted this to at least look good for that. So I think that goal has been met. So also, this vlog is probably extremely long right now, so I think I'm going to do one last check-in and then close this vlog out.
甲子園優勝してるんですよ。お、ちなみにと思ってもドラマの撮影で。あ、なるほど。足立みちる先生の。
All right, y'all, so it has been a really long time since I started this vlog. It is definitely way, way, way too long at this point. So, as I said in my last check-in, I think when I was redoing my bookshelf, I said that I was going to finish the vlog in this check-in, and that is definitely what's going to happen. So if you've watched this whole vlog and the journey from the States to Japan and all the things that came in between, thank you for watching for this long. But before I close this out, I do want to talk about what I'm currently reading, because if you believe it or not, I have started reading again. Yes, we love that for me. This is still a booktube channel, somewhat. So what am I reading currently? My current audiobook is The Last Argument of Kings, which was the Patreon pick for, what month is it now? May, yes. I am still, believe it or not, holding on to my desire to finish some sequels. Hi, sweetie. You want to be on camera? Hmm? Say hi. Can you say hi to me there? Say hi. Konnichiwa. 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 She just has to be involved every time I turn this camera on, so I'm just going to hold her here. Yeah, she can hang out while I finish this. So, what am I reading? The Last Argument of Kings. I started that via audiobook specifically. I got it from my library because I knew that I wanted to read the rest of the series that way. Just the audio, the narrator is just, oh, he's so good. It makes it such an engaging story. So I am 7% into that. I only listened to it once, but I couldn't put it down when I did. So maybe tonight when I'm making dinner, like I plan to make that my priority audiobook when I get a chance. Then physically, I went to the library actually to return a couple of this one's books. And whoopsie, my hand slipped and I ended up getting some of my own books out. So I got 4 different books. The one that I just finished was Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. Now this I had zero interest in reading. I don't know why, really, because dark fairy tales are kind of up my alley, but something about them, it just never grabbed me. But I've heard a lot of people talking about T. Kingfisher. And I don't know, I just saw it on the recent arrivals rack in my library, and I thought if it made it all the way over here to Japan, to the small English section of this library, I don't know, I feel like I should pick this up. So I did, and 5 stars. I finished it this morning. I adored this. It is so incredibly good. I'm going to do a recent reads wrap up, so I'll go more in depth in that wrap up once I sit with my feelings, right? For a little bit. But just thoughts from having finished it this morning. I view this as not just a dark fairy tale, it's like, what if you got to see behind the scenes of a fairy tale, like behind the curtain. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to just read the review that I wrote this morning just after finishing it, because I think it sums up a lot of my feelings really well. The first part of this review is me just explaining, like I did earlier, that I picked it up on a whim from the library. Then I said, wow, did I love this. It has the perfect mix of whimsy and darkness that are present in fairy tales, except Kingfisher goes a step further than those stories usually do. It's almost as if we have, we get a peek behind the curtain of what a behind-the-scenes view of a fairy tale would have been. How did the unlikely motley crew come together? How did moonlight end up in a jar? How do you enter the fairy worlds that exist in tandem with our own? While the book delighted me by explaining all of these fantastical things, it also left the perfect amount of whimsy and mystery to keep the sense of place consistent. Why is someone selling teeth? Who knows? Maybe you don't want to know, come to think of it, which is very accurate. This atmospheric balance was perfectly paired with a dry, witty humor that made me laugh out loud more than once, and a dark underbelly that acknowledges the unfairness of the world and gives the story the weight it needs to settle in your heart. Kingfisher explores the harshness of motherhood, walking through the world as a woman, the consequences of even our small choices, and the ripple effects that come from our actions, intentional or not. I feel like this is a book that would hold up fantastically upon reread, and I want to add this beautiful edition, or a beautiful edition, to my collection one day. Lastly, this book reminded me of the joy of just picking up a book when it calls to you sometimes. It's easy to get caught up in predetermined TBRs and only shop online by searching for books you know you're interested in. But the library gives you the wonderful opportunity to try something on a whim, and that's something I'd like to do more often. And I stand by everything I said in that review. Truly, this is a delightful 5-star surprise. And like I said, I want a beautiful edition of this. I'm not the hugest fan of this cover, but Kingfisher is so popular that I know there's got to be special editions already out there, or there are some coming. So I'll definitely be keeping my eyes open for that. The other book that I've already finished that I got from the library, actually before Nettle and Bone, was Shinto, the Kami Spirit World of Japan. I have always loved the Shinto culture here. You know, I've lived here for over 8 years now, which is wild, saying out loud. Yes, ma'am. But Shinto is so baked into the culture here. It's not viewed as a religious practice in a lot of the ways that it shows up in everyday life, although it is a religious practice, obviously, for those who, you know, make their life around it and work at shrines. But it's such an interesting mix of religiosity in some instances and just daily life in others. And it's always been fascinating to me. Shintoism and Buddhism also, in the modern day, you know, in the past, there's been some bloodshed and no love lost between those two power structures. But right now, they exist very much in tandem within Japanese society. So Shintoism usually, as a generalization, deals with life and celebrates different milestones in life. So for example, for Sumire, when she, it's called Shichigo-san, when she is, I think for girls it's 3 and 5, and for boys it's 5 and 7. I might have that backwards. But kids go to shrines to celebrate reaching those milestones of life. Specifically, you know, that's a Shinto ritual, whereas Buddhism usually deals with death. So funerals have a lot of rituals that come from Buddhism. And they don't really compete with each other in daily life. People don't really care what religion you are actually here. And it's one of the things that I found the most refreshing about living in this country, especially coming from the States, where it's a very fraught subject, something that you don't want to bring up. It could be sensitive for a lot of people. It's just kind of not here. So this is a very short, to the point overview of Shintoism, which is in and of itself very vague. By its very nature, there are a lot of things that can't be defined. It's something that has to be, or explained, it's something that has to be felt and experienced, which is kind of hard to grasp when usually there's like a religious doctrine or beliefs that can explain a religion to you. But you can't really do that with Shinto. They share a mythology, there's a shared mythology, but there isn't really a doctrine that every single shrine follows. It's a very at once individualized and collective experience. It's just something that's always fascinated me. And this book did a really good job of just explaining some of those things, what certain things mean, what certain symbols mean, a very brief historical context of the role Shintoism has played in Japan in the past, some for good and some for ill. It's not like a book that I would recommend that it's like interesting story-wise, but it's interesting to me because I like the subject matter. So, and I always have been and probably always will be interested in mythology, kami, Shintoism. It just grips me. So this was a really good read for me, but it's not one that I would be like, everyone run and read it. If it sounds interesting to you, I would check it out. So that's what I'm currently reading or have just finished reading, and then the last two I got from the library are The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin, finally the third book in this trilogy. I need to get to it. I don't see why not. This might be my next read, actually, because I just finished Nettle and Bone this morning, so I'm in that sweet spot where I get to pick what I want to read next. And this is one of the series that I really wanted to prioritize finishing this year. So this is probably going to be my next read, but I did get one more from the library. And this is not really a sequel, but it's part of the same series, if that makes sense, and that is The Inugami Curse by Yokomizo Seishi. These books, this author's books, have been getting translations in recent years, and it's basically the Japanese version of Sherlock Holmes. So there's this detective who pays attention to little details and is able to solve crimes that no one else is able to solve, and he gets called in whenever something is real weird and no one else can figure it out. And I read the Honjin Murders by him 2 years ago, I think, and I really enjoyed it because I love Sherlock Holmes. I love that there's like a little detail that, you know, is a pivotal thing for the final twist. Yes, ma'am. I just really like those types of mysteries. So if you like that as well, then you'll probably like the Honjin Murders. And this is the most popular of his works. This one is about a family that's cursed, and obviously someone kicks the bucket. We gotta figure out why or how. So I'm very interested to continue reading Yoko Mizo's works. I love these covers, so if I like enough of his books, I would definitely invest in having a copy on my shelves in the future. But for now, there's I think another one that I saw at the library as well, so I might pick up the ones that they have there and then see if they're all to my liking. Then we might look for getting them a permanent place on the shelves. But thus far, I've enjoyed what I've read. So that's currently what's on my reading radar. Also, at the latter half of this month, I finally am going to read Of Darkness and Light. The buddy read is finally going to come to fruition with Shelley. So I will be starting that book this coming week as well. I think that one's going to be via ebook for me, at least for now. Because this vlog is so long, I think I'm going to finish it here. I was going to include like a final shot of my bookshelves the way they look now, but I'll just start my next vlog with those. So you'll still get that shot, just not in this vlog. I'm pretty happy with the way they look. I don't think it's officially like finished, but it'll work for now. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you're reading or any thoughts on whatever you saw throughout this vlog. I don't even remember all the clips that I got. We'll see. Editing Taylor, we'll see. But let me know any thoughts on anything that you saw throughout this vlog. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell. I'd love to have you as part of this community, and I appreciate it. But for now, I'm gonna head out. じゃあね!